an employee at an Amazon facility, apparently in Scotland, shows that millions of unsold products get destroyed, including incredibly valuable products as well. Let's show you a little bit of this video that one of the workers gave to ITV in Britain.
Secret footage captured in what's known as the destruction zone, and that calls into question the company's environmental and ethical practices. An ITV News investigation reveals unsold laptops scanned not for delivery, but instead marked destroy. Boxes full of electrical items such as drills, shavers, headphones, even smart TVs. The list goes on. Brand new books still in their wrappers, or jewelry or steel cutlery with that same instruction: destroy.
And look, I think even if that was just a little bit of that would be pretty insane. But apparently there's a weekly target at that one facility of 130,000 items to destroy. And apparently, so there's different ways you can get rid of these things. You can destroy it or you can give it away. I think many of you watching that are probably thinking, wait, can't you just give that to people? Like random people, or I don't know, maybe just the employees who you're abusing. Well, they do give away a little bit. In comparison to the 124,000 items marked destroy, 28,000 were marked donate. So isn't that nice? A tiny little percentage of it. And it's some stuff, it's like cheap jewelry or whatever, but it's MacBooks and it's fans and iPads and TVs, and this whole thing just seems insane, Yasmin. I don't understand what system could produce the need for this much destruction and waste.
It's like the ERCOT thing that we were talking about earlier, how I'm being expected to recycle and conserve as much as possible, but you have people like Amazon, well, I guess not people, but you have companies like Amazon who are just being so wasteful and they're seeing no consequences of it. And there's a reason why Jeff Bezos is going to space and there's a petition to leave him there, because he's doing so much harm to this country, so much harm that so many people around the entire globe are trying to combat. But how can you possibly compete with it? It's so wasteful. Any kind of waste kind of hurts my heart. I don't like it. I don't know if that's because I was just the way I was raised or whatever the case is, but any kind of waste is waste. It doesn't need to happen, and it's so pointless. And I am curious as to what determines whether something is destroyed or donated. Like what is the criteria there? And why is one so much more than the other and not the other way around?
I don't know. I am hoping that if enough people talk about this story, that maybe they will shed a little bit of light on that. Preferably, maybe change the situation a little bit. But it's pretty bad. Like 6 million products at that facility. A previous report in France found 3 million products being destroyed. So that's France and Scotland. I will just assume that nothing like this happens in the United States. But if it does, that could be really bad. And so this is just one of a number of different issues that thankfully employees at Amazon have made people aware of. This is a massive corporation. There are some benefits to that, but there are clearly a lot of negatives, both in terms of the ethical implications of wrecking TVs and stuff rather than giving them away, but also the environmental stuff. 6 million products for one facility, that's a lot of waste that's being produced. Maybe there could be practices that would make it not actually have to happen at all. But anyway, maybe at some point we'll learn more. Thank you to all the reporters that are talking with employees and getting us this information. Unfortunately, we are down to almost no time, and I want to make sure that we thank Yasmin, great job. Great to have you on as always. And I want to let people know where they can see more of your work.
You can find me on Instagram. That's the easiest way to find me. My Instagram handle is YazK with 5 Z's in the middle. So YAZZZZZK. I know I always do that funny. People always make fun of the order that I do that in. But yeah, 5 Z's, YAZZZZZK.
Awesome. Well,
and then
thank
Twitter
you so much.
YazzyK. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Always glad to have you on. Have a good day. And for those of you at home, thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna be speaking in just a little bit with Dave Leventhal, so you can expect that coming up soon. Also, our top 10 list for the week. The top 10 objective definitive list of animals is now up on the YouTube channel for our tier 2 and tier 3 members. So if you're one of those, you can enjoy that and leave an idea for future top 10 there. Oh, we have the results of the poll. Where are the results of the poll? I don't see them, but let's bring them up. So we asked you if any voting rights bill will eventually pass, and damn, it's a pessimistic audience. 90.65% say no. Less than 10% are like, yeah, maybe something. And we're not saying for the People Act. We're not saying the John Lewis Act. We're saying literally any bill. And apparently you don't think it's likely to happen. I still have hope that something will happen. I don't know what will be left in that thing by the time it gets through there, if anything, but we will find out. In any event, thank you for watching, everybody. Tomorrow's Big News Wednesday with Jared Jackson. So until then, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.
What's happening? Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Richey. Good to be with you. Wow, we have a show today. My co-host to break down news of the day, none other than Adrienne Lawrence, attorney at law and TYT, legal expert, legal contributor, will join me in just a moment, all right? But before we get to that, don't forget about the bullpen. In the bullpen today, I have none other than conservative pastor, Make America Great Again loving, Donald Trump supporting Pastor Jesse Peterson. He will be on the program today. I don't know. You guys are probably saying, why is he on the show? We'll see. Okay, so he's on the show. Let's just deal with it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring your attention to a Democrat who engages in practical racism. There's a US senator, and by all appearances, he's a nice guy. He talks about systemic injustices and racism. He's typically on the right side of the corporate Democratic vote, not always on the progressive side, even though he considers himself to be a progressive when the speech fits. This individual represents Rhode Island. So let me bring your attention to Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. Sheldon Whitehouse is now facing more scrutiny than ever before because on the eve of Juneteenth, something that he says he was proud to vote for. On the eve of Juneteenth, he was cornered by a local reporter. Well, this reporter had questions for Senator Whitehouse. And I promise you, the good senator thought he was going to talk about his amazing victory for Juneteenth, giving black people a holiday. But she has some other questions for this senator. Here's how it went.
Back in 2017, you had expressed concerns about the membership of the all-white Bailey's Beach Club, said that you hoped it would become more diverse. Now, your family's been members, your wife is one of the largest shareholders. Has there been any traction in that? Are there any minority members of the club now?
I think the people who are running the place are still working on that, and I'm sorry it hasn't happened yet.
Do you have concerns in 2021? I mean, obviously it's been 4 years. You had remarks on the floor following the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd saying, hoping to root out systemic racism in the country. Your thoughts on an elite, all-white, wealthy club, again, in this day and age, should these clubs continue to exist?
It's a long tradition in Rhode Island, and there are many of them. And I think we just need to work our way through the issues. Thank you.
You see, the good senator says, racism is a long tradition. Not only in Rhode Island, by the way, but also across the United States of America and beyond. I want you to remember, this is a US senator who gets a lot of support from progressive and black and brown communities, disenfranchised individuals. He talks a good game. He says he's on the right side of the justice argument. However, in his practice, ladies and gentlemen, he is in fact practicing racism. You see, the club he's a part of is not all white by accident, it is all white by design. They do not allow black people to join their prestigious establishment. Now, here's another part of the irony. When he was campaigning back in 2006, while Whitehouse appeared to dismiss the club's circumstances, his wife, Sandra Whitehouse, is one of the 3 largest stakeholders in the club. When the Rhode Island senator, who was first elected in 2006, initially ran for his office, he disavowed his membership and pledged to quit the club. So to get votes, he said, hey, I should not be a member of this all-white establishment. It's antithetical to what I believe, and if you make me your US senator, I will disavow them. But instead, he got paid. His wife is one of the largest shareholders. And all of a sudden, the whole sentiment about racial equality has evaporated. Let me tell you why this man is a problem. He's a problem because he has a price tag, and I see it. I know he's a Democrat, and I know some people will say, Doc, don't talk about Democrats like that. Damn that. This is the problem with our establishment in politics today. They all are for sale. To talk more about this, to break it down even further, I have my dear sister, Adrienne Lawrence. Adrienne, welcome.
Thank you for having me. And oh boy, this is really special what Whitehouse is doing here. The fact that, his wife is such a reigning member of this club and is continuing to take significant income and revenue, and also being owning what about 1/3 of it, that should at least tell you that she has some control over the club itself. And I understand that the Black population in Rhode Island is only about 6 to 7%. I get that. But at the same time, efforts could be made to diversify the community at the club, and clearly that hasn't been done.
And he made a campaign promise. I mean, the guy, when he ran initially, said, hey, you know what? There's something wrong with this club that I'm a member of. And anytime your club has the same value expression as the KKK, which by the way is a white-only club too, anytime you're part of an organization that has that same expression, you may want to consider your life decisions. But he did not bank in on the promise. And what I think happened here, Adrienne, and this is me speculating, but I'm looking at circumstantial evidence. He said he would disavow it, and then all of a sudden, him and his wife are now getting paid. And what he said, oh, I don't know, that's them. They got to work that out. You mean you need to talk to your wife about it? Because according to the documents, your wife has a lot of power and control in this organization.
Yep, it really does tell you, just like you had said, in terms of that there's a price tag. And there's clearly a price tag that's being paid on this person being a faux progressive, yet living a lifestyle that seems to perpetuate white supremacy. And the fact that, again, nothing has been done over the years, that really shows you that this was an empty promise that was made by Whitehouse and that this is all for show. And it's extremely disappointing, but at the same time, unfortunately, it's not surprising.
Yeah, it's not surprising, and I get it. He's a politician. Many of us wanted people like him to be transformative, and something I tell my college students all the time. Anytime you engage with a politician, expect them to be transactional. Now, it's great when they are in fact transformational, like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and others, but just have an expectation that all of them are transactional to some level. There's a transaction happening here. There's some type of connection to something that he wants. This guy is wealthy. He's a US senator. Why does he need this? Why would he risk his US Senate seat? Why would he risk his reputation to be part of an all-white club that will not allow Black membership? That doesn't make sense to me unless there's something I don't see.
Oh, I think it completely and totally makes sense. It's all about purporting to be here for equality, purporting to be an individual progress while still holding up white supremacy. Because again, the reality is that the vast majority of his constituents are likely white. And whether a lot of people are cognizant of it or not, they want to bolster the system that keeps them on top. And so pretending to be progressive while really continuing to bolster white supremacy, that is the way that it's done in terms of society. As in, look, I don't have a white hood, but that doesn't mean I'm not sending Black people to enter through the back. So this is really on par for a lot of people out there who claim to be progressives, but are living lifestyles that are actually bolstering white supremacy.
He said something really worth analyzing. He said, and I quote, "This is a long tradition in Rhode Island." A long tradition in Rhode Island. What he's saying in that comment is that the tradition of his whiteness and his white dominated social class, which he is a part of now with that club, that is more important to him than being right. Because this guy literally talks against clubs like that in his senatorial speeches. He has opposed legislation that would indicate white supremacy is being lifted, or places where diversity is not celebrated. However, in his personal life, in his personal context, he's risking everything to make sure he's part of this elite white membership club that will not allow people of color.
Yeah,
damn
white
shame.
Solidarity. Yep. He's showing us his true colors. That white solidarity is more important to him than it is about making change.
Well said. All right, let me shift gears because this story did not receive a lot of national attention, but it should have. Back in 2017, there was a Black undercover police officer protesting at a Black Lives Matter demonstration. Well, he was there as an undercover cop. He wasn't there committing any acts of violence. He was not looting. He did not destroy any property. He did none of that. He was there simply as a protester spying on other protesters. That was his job. He happens to be an African-American male detective named Luther Hall. Mr. Hall was there to catch other criminals. See, the whole reason why you have an undercover cop in any situation is because you're there to root out or to observe criminals. Well, he found some criminals and they were other police officers. 4 cops ended up being charged with beating this man senseless because, according to them, they thought he was a protester. They didn't think he did anything illegal. They just thought he was a protester. Well, let's fast forward. A trial did happen. They were indicted by the federal government. Mistrials took place for some. One guy actually pleaded guilty. One cop said, listen, I did that. I'm pleading guilty. Let's get this over with. And a conviction did happen recently. St. Louis Metropolitan Police officers Stephen Court and Christopher Myers were found not guilty of deprivation of rights under the color of law, which they were charged with in connection to the beating of Detective Luther Hall, who had been posing undercover as a protester. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports that while jurors were not able to return a guilty verdict on Boone, they were able to make a decision to related charges against Myers, who was accused. They were not able to make a decision related charges against Myers, who was accused of tampering with evidence. So one cop literally broke his phone. They couldn't make a conclusion on that. But there's one person that got found guilty. And here's some of that background to the story.
3 police officers are on trial in St. Louis accused of brutally beating one of their own. In September of 2017, Detective Luther Hall was working undercover at a protest that erupted after a local police officer was found not guilty of murdering a black man that he shot after a car chase. So while at the demonstration, Hall was severely beaten by a group of police officers who say that they thought he was a protester.
Think about the irony here. He's undercover because his supervisor said, you need to be with these protesters who commit crimes. And you need to observe and report what crimes are being committed. But he, in fact, uncovered the real criminals, the police officers who were at the protest. Dustin Boone was charged in this beating as well. And his case ended in a mistrial initially, and then the prosecutors tried it again. After being tried again, Boone was found guilty of the felony civil rights charge and could face up to 10 years at sentencing. Let's bring up all of the cops who were involved in the initial beating and got charged, okay? You see that? They're all white, okay? Here's the cop that got beat up who was undercover. That's him. Lip had stitches, face jacked up, arms, legs. He was assaulted, he was beaten. And here's why we know about this story. Here's why the feds charged the individuals who decided to become criminals that night against this undercover cop, because he's an undercover cop. That's why we know about it today. How many times do you think that happened to Black Lives Matter protesters and we never heard about it? The federal government never charged anybody and no one else got involved. 1.9% of Black Lives Matter protesters, they have claimed that they have actually been assaulted unlawfully by police officers. Only 1% of cops said that they were assaulted by anybody. 1% at these protests. Literally more protesters claim they've been assaulted by cops than the other way around. And there are way more protesters than police officers at these events. Adrienne, you're an attorney. You see this, you're part of the legal justice system. Your thoughts?
Well, I would definitely like to say that what makes these cases kind of unique, where you have an officer who was beaten by another officer while he's undercover, is that one of the reasons we find out a lot about it and we see the cases go as far as they do is because of workman's comp. This is an on-the-job injury for that detective in particular. And hey, the office that he works for has to submit all of his claims and information. And so thus they have to, in the event that they want to be reimbursed, they gotta pursue these claims. So they actually have to pursue the prosecutions at the same time. And fortunately, in this case, the federal government stepped in to prosecute these officers because it was clear that they were not going to get the fair pursuit of justice here if it was done at the local level. St. Louis has some serious problems. The city's top prosecutor, a Black woman who was brought into office recently, what she did is she had to include a list of officers who cannot testify because they are so shady. They are known as being untrustworthy. So I think that list is about at 75 names up to September 2020.
Wow.
The fact is that there is so much oppression that goes on when it comes to interracial violence from the police and when it comes to the citizens there in St. Louis, and that it has not been rectified, that you cannot even trust the police department. And this is another sign of that ill.
You make a great point about this being an on-the-job injury. You're right, he has to file for his insurance. There's a paper trail for why it happened. The city eventually settled with him about 4 or 5 months ago. They gave him $5 million in a settlement, okay? But even with all of that and the compelling evidence, still, the vast majority of these police officers, they did not get convicted. It was a mistrial. And the one who pleaded, he testified. I mean, he said, listen, this is what happened. You have another cop who destroyed his cell phone. He didn't get convicted. This one individual gets convicted. And once again, even when there's a symbol of justice, even when you see justice kind of happen, it still turns much slower for police officers than a regular citizen.
Yep, absolutely. And something I'd love to go back to is looking at kind of the stats on how officers are treating Black citizens there in St. Louis. In Missouri alone, Black drivers are 91% times more likely, 91% more likely than white drivers to be pulled over. And Black male drivers, they're nearly twice the rate of white male drivers to have their vehicles searched. Also, Black people are more than 3 times as likely to experience use of force from the department's officers compared to white people when it comes to St. Louis Police Department. They have a sincere problem here where you have too many cops who are looking for an opportunity to crush some skulls, so to speak. And in this instance, they crushed the wrong skull, but at the same time, they are not facing consequences. Unfortunately, because you do have people in that St. Louis area who still are unwilling to convict a white cop for engaging in brutality when it is clear and present.
Yeah. This detective, he's $5 million richer because of his pain and suffering. When he testified, he barely could get through his testimony because he was crying profusely. This definitely traumatized him extensively. And I just hope he becomes an advocate for Black Lives Matter rather than an undercover officer spying on them. Because on that day, he caught the real criminals who were at that protest, and they happened to be his own colleagues. All right, we got more on the other side. You're here, it's indisputable.
Well, the Young Turks, the Friday show is gonna be awesome. We're gonna help us over here. Drop it. We became the first ever daily online web television show.
No, the Constitution is the very core of America. The fact that we don't spy on American citizens, that we get a warrant, that we go to a judge, that we have a procedure, that we have due process, that is America.
On top of that, they go, why don't they just stay at their own schools? You gotta realize something. These schools suck. They want people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You ain't got no straps, you ain't got no boots.
He lit these fires in trash bins all around town out of frustration.
99th most viewed channel today on YouTube.
The Shorties Award.
Best web host.
We passed 1 billion views. Voice Award winner, News and Information Channel, The Young Turks. Oh, another Webby.
The Young Turks.
Can I curse? Yeah! For those of you watching on live stream, yes, we have adopted a pet iguana that showed up at our door.
Haunted version in the dark with our silhouettes.
Now let's get to the best line of the debate. And it was definitely the one against Floyd. I told you we were coming.
I mean, you talk about it when it becomes a problem. Our lack of gun control is a problem.
Nonsense BS story is hurting that cause, and they need to wake up and recognize that they're being had by these people.
Biggest gang in America. Question is, how do we make sure that we blame the person who is dead? What kind of democracy is that?
We should never forget that the most powerful people in the world exploited the greatest tragedy in American history to go to war in a country that had a lot of oil.
Rolling thunder. That's what this show is.
Never in my life did I think I would like to see a dictator. But if there's going to be one, I want it to be Trump.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Where's the line? We've crossed every line you can imagine.
We are a socialist country. It's socialism for the rich.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
You don't have to know the truth, just believe what they tell you.
There is no bounds to their monstrous hypocrisy.
Tick-tock.
I think we're gonna win the Senate in 2020. And I think we're gonna have the House, and I think we're gonna have the presidency.
Tick-tock.
And in 2020, we're going to clean your clock, and we're gonna run you out of town, and we're gonna have an actual democracy in this country.
November of 2020 could also be potentially the greatest day of our lives. Let us whisper of a dream.
Say hi to the camera.
I don't like this.
All right, welcome back to Indisputable. Let me read some of these viewer comments. I can't get to all of them. Remember to always join me on Indisputable TYT, Indisputable TYT on YouTube, youtube.com/Indisputable TYT. Make sure you subscribe there, watch the show live there, and also all of my debates, all of my iconic guests, my Wish a Karen Wood segments, all of them are there. Listen, you can just get some popcorn and have a good time on that page, all right? Make sure you go there, Indisputable TYT on social media as well. Let's get it. Super chat, this was a super chat from yesterday, but I gotta read it. And this was about my guest, my debate guest from yesterday. Man of Tomorrow says, ask him what is the Republicans that support climate change in the House or Senate on his side? Which was a fair question because he was a conservative who believed in climate change, but his guys are the ones who do not. Okay, Nia Fox.com says, working from home and watching from the ATL. I need my daily infusion from the doc. Well, you got it. Forbesilla says, every time I see Adrienne on air, I want to scream with how cute her natural hair is. Such a babe, you deserve the best in the world. Nice. Forrest Dudley says, Dr. Richey, thought you should know that John has approved your rechristening to the Indisputable Dragon. Congratulations. I just got to say, I've been waiting my entire life for this honor. And I accept this on behalf of all of the little people in the world. Thank you. Indisputable Dragon. All right. Rain Day Sud says, it amazes me cops are allowed to openly violate the same laws they're sworn to uphold. Only occupation under the sun with unfettered impunity and multiple systems in place to protect them. 100% accurate. Marcia Jones, doctor gonna rip Jesse a new one. Yeah. Christian RL, Aquarian Dragon. This is what corporate moderate Dems do as a smoke and mirrors. Yeah, let's go to my Twitch people. Nat KMM has resubscribed for 5 months, thank you. Physics Nerd Dragon, yeah, I'm all about fighting racism, except when it's inconvenient. About Senator Whitehouse. Sauce 240, we have to call out the corrupt Dems, yes we do. Peace Love Dave about the cop conviction. They wouldn't have been convicted or even charged if he had been just a protester. Exactly, yeah. Twitter, Ruby Bozeman Davis, I love me some Rashad Richey, the truth teller, God bless, and God bless you as well. Abolish the NYPD rights. Every time a video of Indisputable TYT with Dr. Rashad Richey is recommended on YouTube, I watch it and think, he makes great points. I should watch more of him. So I go to subscribe, but I've already done it. Your subconscious helped you out there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming back our legal analyst, TYT, Adrienne Lawrence. Okay, Adrienne, there's another story, which is actually a great story, and I'm glad it's happening during Pride Month. Las Vegas Raiders defensive end, Carl Nassib, made history this week coming out as the first active openly gay NFL player. Is he the first gay NFL player? Hell no. Is he the first to actually come out, period? No, because some have been through the NFL and came out afterwards, all right? But he's in the NFL and he has come out. I'm happy for him because he's living his truth. He made the announcement in an Instagram post and committed to donating $100,000 to the Trevor Project, a suicide prevention service for LGBTQ youth. Here are some stats from the Trevor Project, which highlights the importance of visibility for LGBTQ youth. Here's the graphic. 1.8 million of LGBTQ youth have seriously considered suicide in the US in the past year. That's staggering. That is staggering. If you are pro-life, you should be ashamed of yourself if you don't want people to live in their own truth. That number right there should change your mind. LGBTQ youth who report having at least one accepting adult in their life were 40% less likely to report a suicide attempt. Here's some video of this courageous young man.
What's up, people? I'm Carl Nassib. I'm at my house here in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Just want to take a quick moment to say that I'm gay. I've been meaning to do this for a while now, but I finally feel comfortable enough to get it off my chest. I really have the best life. I got the best family, friends, and job a guy could ask for. I'm a pretty private person, so I hope you guys know that I'm really not doing this for attention. I just think that representation and visibility are so important. I actually hope that like one day videos like this and the whole coming out process are just not necessary. But until then, I'm gonna do my best and do my part to cultivate a culture that's accepting, that's compassionate, and I'm gonna start by donating $100,000 to the Trevor Project. They're an incredible organization. They're the #1 suicide prevention service for LGBTQ youth in America, and they're truly doing incredible things. And I'm very excited to be a part of it, to help in any way that I can, and I'm really pumped to see what the future holds.
That's how you use your platform to create positive change. His teammates are very supportive of him. And the reason why they are supportive is because they've always played with gay players. This is not anything new. If you talk to any NFL player, they have gone on record and said, we know who the gay men are on our team, but it's not for us to tell their story. Adrienne, what are your thoughts about this?
I think what Carl Nassib did in terms of coming out is so incredibly powerful, and I commend him. Having that representation there, it is extremely impactful. As the Trevor Project has reported, that over 80% of LGBTQ youth say that having a celebrity who identifies as LGBTQ and uplifts it helps them feel better about themselves. And that's extremely important as we see so many attacks across the United States of queer youth out there, from this attack on trans youth involved in sports, and also the limitations that are placed on people. That has had a significant impact in the increase of LGBTQ youth who want to unfortunately take their lives. We should be valuing human life, and also we should be uplifting individuals to be who they are and celebrate that. And I love what Carl Nassib has done, and I love also that his teammates are supporting him, and I'm confident that other players in the league will do so as well. Because as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to hate out there, that this is now the majority. That's the minority viewpoint when it comes to homophobia, transphobia, and any other kind of hate. There is no place for that.
Isn't it ironic that the party who pretends to be pro-life, right? They will look at these stats, and these stats say, when you are anti-truth for who they are, when you oppose who they are, they have a higher likelihood of suicide. That's death. But you will still embrace a doctrine of hate so that you could keep your political points rather than actually save more lives in this country.
Yes, and it is an unfortunate reality that we see every day, where people do not want others to live their lives and be whole because they want to restrict people to continue to push this cis heteronormativity onto people. And all it is doing is keeping this implicit faux culture where we don't grow as a people. And the fact that we have had this beautiful history and legacy of diversity, and trying to narrow that and whittle that down and put it into a box and say, no, you must obey these puritanical cis heteronormative principles in order for our society to actually be the society it's supposed to be. That is completely and totally untrue. We need to allow people to be who they are and define who they are for themselves. And this is the start of a new era. This is change.
It is a beautiful thing. Very well said. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would. You know what we do. We go around the United States and we highlight the Karens of the world, because Karens are dangerous. I want you to meet Asian hate Karen. This Karen was inside of an Uber. She was having fun that night. And I guess because of her liquid courage, she decided to be racist against the Asian Uber driver, who started to immediately record. The video was originally shared on TikTok, and it shows the Asian driver basically telling them to get out. She was with a male acquaintance. Let me go to the first part of the video.
This people over here call me everything. I'm gonna call the cops.
What?
She cussed me out. You call me an Asian? Yeah.
Yourself. You.
This lady over here cussed me out for no reason.
I'm sorry. I just reported you to 911.
Call 911, please.
I'm gonna get these bras out of the way. I am sorry. All right, I am so sorry. Hey,
dude.
Girls, come here. Come on, move, please, now.
I'm taking this guy. No, what do you mean? I'm not gonna let this little.
Stella, Jesus.
This little Asian American now.
No, this is completely unacceptable. Okay.
I'm sorry. Go yourself. Go back to Asia. Stella, stop.
She told him to go back to Asia. She actually called him the N-word at one point. Her male acquaintance is trying to apologize for her behavior, trying to calm her down, and it just continues to devolve into a purely racist rant. Now, she's identified in this video as Stella. She's identified in the video as Stella. And here's part 2.
No, I will take his address. Come here. No, I will take his address. If no one else does, then I will.
Hey, bro. Please take her away before I call 911. Please. I got the right of way. Because I got no problem with it.
Please leave. Please
I
leave.
already called
Uh,
911 on you.
All right. Look at that. Look at that.
Please leave. Please leave.
She just flipped me off, cussed me out.
Hey.
I didn't do nothing
You did not
wrong.
deserve that. You did. Please leave.
What I do wrong?
Nothing at all.
All I did was drive.
Please leave. All right, please leave. I am sorry. I am sorry. All right, I am sorry. Hey, you're a good man, and you were working your ass off, and I am sorry. All right.
I work all day, and you guys give me the wrong here. I'm gonna call 911. I'm gonna wait right here.
Now remember, she said that she's going to call 911 on him. He's done nothing wrong. He's done nothing criminal. And then her friend is saying that, please leave, please leave. You've done nothing wrong, but please leave, please leave. Why does he need to leave? He's doing his job. He doesn't have to go anywhere. She needs to leave before the cops come. But maybe if the cops came, she would try to weaponize her whiteness against the Asian driver. And that's why I'm glad that there's a movie now bringing everyone's attention to how dangerous Karens are in the world. Have y'all seen this movie trailer? Here it is.
I guess this is a long way from East Point.
Baby, you just gotta give it a chance.
Tell me about your new neighbors.
They're black. Do you mind keeping it down? If you don't comply, I'll tell the manager.
Somebody's taking home security serious.
Hi, I am Karen Drexler. I'm your neighbor. You need to be taking your trash cans off the curb right when the trash is picked up.
Is she nice?
Yeah, she's nice.
Wait a minute. We have a white entitled neighbor named Karen.
Karen.
As a 40-year-old black man, I am terrified right now. That is a scary ass movie. Adrienne?
My comments on that movie is that it did not need to come to pass. We live these things. I do not need to see them. Also, I liked this actress, Taryn Manning, but I want to know who is helping her choose these roles. Because once again, this is not something that I need to see. It is not entertaining. So this is not, no, I'm good. Let's please go ahead and keep it moving. As far as that Karen in real life, you know what? It's abysmal and it's disgusting. And the concern is that if she had called the police, or if he did, that it would have ended up where the police would have sided with her in some regard. And that's the scary part, because that man was just doing his job and he was being upstanding. Yet to have her male friend say, "Oh, please leave. I'm sorry. Please leave." You know what? It speaks volumes, the fact that he has chosen to spend time with that individual, because I would have just left her there. And she could find her racist way home when she sobers up. That is not a me issue. She is a bad person, and the alcohol just amplified that.
Yeah, and some people would say after a situation like that, I was drunk. Well, here's something that we know, Adrienne. We've been around drunk people. Hell, I've been drunk before myself. Typically, a drunk tongue speaks a sober word. What you have said is what was already inside of you. And now you have the liquid courage to just say it. And that's what you have here. And what's unfortunate about all of these Karens is that these are the individuals that they work a 9 to 5, I'm sure, with black folks. Some of them take care of black children. Some of them work in industries where they supervise or have to work with black people. And this is their internal sentiment about black folks or brown folk.
Absolutely. This is what they think and how they truly think. They might be nice and smile and put on a good tap dance, as Whitehouse has done. But the reality is that when it comes to actual practice, hey, it comes out and it really shows the true colors. And we got to see that. And I do wonder how this Karen film is going to do in theaters, because right now it's not doing well on Twitter. Because once again, we black people live it. It is not entertaining, and it should not be entertainment.
Yeah, it is a silly movie. I mean, just all jokes aside, it's a silly movie. But damn, that was a scary white woman.
Oh my gosh, Taryn Manning, she plays it up real well. She does a really good job. I have no doubt that it's gonna be an Oscar-winning performance, but at the same time, I didn't need it, I'm good.
Let me shift gears to something that really is going to face all of America. Because of COVID, massive layoffs, you have a housing issue, especially with renters, like we've never had before. many people are bracing for massive evictions. And you have a lot of investors who are just waiting for it. Oh, they are waiting for these evictions so that they can bank, okay? California, this is really, really interesting. California is paying off residents past due rent that was accrued during the COVID-19 pandemic, giving renters a clean slate, according to Governor Newsom. This was recently announced. The move would fulfill a promise to landlords to help them break even while giving renters relief. And remember, the vast majority of those that own property, they are not wealthy. These are moms and dads and grandmamas and granddads. They own a property, but they're not rich. And so when they don't get paid, well, that's a real sacrifice for them. So this was a way to stabilize the market, not just to look out for renters. Here's a graphic. A little over 2% of people in California who have applied for rent relief during the pandemic have received it. Do you hear that number? A little more than 2%. Also, state officials who haven't yet decided whether they'll extend California's eviction moratorium, which is set up to expire in just a few days on June 30th. Wow. Adrienne, I think this is actually a good direction. And I hope other states start adopting some of this, if not expanding on it. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. It's the fact that this is a chain reaction. When we have it so that people can't pay their rent, they're put in a position where they potentially could be evicted. And when it comes to housing eviction, as Representative Ilhan Omar had pointed out, it disproportionately impacts Black people. And that is very problematic, in part because we know that COVID disproportionately impacted Black people, and just about every aspect and area of life when it comes to misfortune is going to fall on the Black community. And also it's important to note that generally when people are unhoused and they're experiencing homelessness, the likelihood of being arrested and being put into the criminal justice system increases exponentially. And as a result of that, we have this cyclical cycle going on where we have people suffering who are oppressed, generally Black and brown people, and they end up in the criminal justice system. And so this system is extremely problematic, particularly here in California. I'm really glad that Governor Newsom is making these strides, especially because the reality is the vast majority of people on the streets are Black here in Los Angeles, despite the fact that we only represent maybe about 8% of the LA community. We're 50% of the homeless community. And that is very, very problematic.
Everything has a cause and effect relationship. When you talk about housing, you talk about homelessness. Well, if you have an increase in homelessness because you have failed to remedy the housing crisis or the rent crisis in your community, then those individuals will become taxing in other ways, such as criminality or going to jail for simply trying to survive. You also have the taxing on the system as it relates to social services that will need to be utilized in order to try to help some of that community. So this is a good thing. And really, when you look at it from a holistic standpoint, it is preventative. It saves the money. It saves taxpayer dollars in the long term. Would you not agree?
Yes, it does save money at the end of the day because it keeps a lot of people from going under. As you had mentioned, the vast majority of these landlords aren't necessarily large corporations or individuals who own considerable property. Maybe it's just a mom and pop. I'm a landlord, but if my tenants were to go under and not pay, I'd have to pay my rent and a mortgage. That would be, it would just be very, very difficult. And so as a result of that, you see people rolling into potential bankruptcies and considerable losses. So it's good that Gavin Newsom is doing this to prevent that chain reaction, but we still do need more to help people, specifically those groups that have suffered the most due to COVID, to lift everybody up because, hey, when the lowest and weakest of us rises, we all rise.
That's right, and that's something that it baffles me why politicians don't get that. When you help the least of these, you help everybody, right? It's not that you help individuals who are absolutely in need of it and no one else benefits. Everybody benefits from that kind of system. But the truth is, these systems make money on the ignorance or the willful ignorance of politicians, right? And because these systems make money and you have lobbyists that have agendas, you typically don't get to sound policy. Anytime there's a common sense policy order or common sense policy idea on the table, and there's this adversity to that policy, and you're scratching your head and you're wondering, well, wait a minute, this makes sense. It makes sense short term. It makes sense long term. Why is it so difficult to implement this policy? Well, typically, that means there's some money somewhere behind it lobbying against the policy being passed, because there is money in the willful ignorance of politicians.
Yes, there is. There's money everywhere politicians happen to be. It definitely seems like this is something that motivates them. And in this instance here, acknowledging the fact that there is money that can be used to help the people and is supposed to be your job in supporting we the people. It's something that a lot of politicians don't want to do because, that's always the excuse. We don't have the money for it. We don't have the money for it. But the reality is we do have the money for it, and it should be allocated to people who need it the most.
Yeah, we got plenty of money for it. We always have money to kill people and blow things up. It's called war. I've never heard someone argue on the House floor, listen, it would be a good idea to go to war with Iran, but we just don't have it in the budget. We always have it in the budget to kill people and to blow things up. It's never an argument about that whatsoever. And so all of a sudden we start pinching pennies when it comes to domestic policies. Hell, we're talking about last administration getting rid of Meals on Wheels for senior citizens who are shed in. We don't have money for that, according to the previous administration. We spent $22 million chasing unidentified flying objects. We spent money on that, a lot of it.
It's ridiculous. There's always money in the budget. That's what it is, always money.
Yeah. Sister, it is always a pleasure having you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you and check you out.
You can find me on Twitter at Adrienne Law, on Instagram at Adrienne Lawrence, and on YouTube and Facebook with the Rebel HQ channels. I will be there with TYT's Overruled.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
All right, we got more. You don't want to miss the bullpen. I got Jesse Peterson, pastor and radical conservative, in the bullpen today. You're watching Indisputable.
Cenk Uygur is not here today, which means that I will be able to talk during the show. Now,
we'll see.
Poor Cenk, under the bus.
My God, if Jesus came back, how much would the Republicans hate him? So now you have to give away all of your possessions to the poor. Steve King would be like, oh, easy. Everyone should be lucky enough to have a John Iadarola in their life.
You confused everyone?
Okay, sorry, I thought it was pretty clear.
Take a break now.
You can turn me into Dr. Manhattan as long as I get what Dr. Manhattan's packing, okay?
The liberal mom says, Mark Thompson, have you ever thought about doing one of those tapes that soothe people to sleep? Like Mark Thompson reads the phone book. I'd buy it.
If you'll buy it, I'll do it.
Emilio D'Amelio writes in, John, you are so thick. I love you. That's what he wrote.
Pork Chop Express writes in and says John Iadarola needs a new jacket.
Whoa.
Those 24-inch pythons are about to burst out of his sleeve.
Gun, baby. You know, the two people here said that their moms were both in love with you over Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm. That's an improvement. I usually get grandmothers.
Charlie Turk.
No, wait a minute, don't you dare.
Chemical castration when we return from the break.
I hope that, who they choose for the White House isn't just a borderline Klansman. That's all we gotta hope.
That's it, we will settle it.
She's cute. I didn't say that about Laura Ingraham.
Scandal at TYT. Did Anna comment on my tan yet? No, she hasn't.
You're a good boss.
But Anna did say that I come in here today with a fresh mind. That's all I'm about. I'm about a fresh mind.
I can't with you right now. Okay?
She just can't. She can't, but nonetheless, we have to for another 3 hours. I'm back, baby. Let's rip in the Republicans. You don't miss the live show.
That's great.
Tell people, if you remember, you get the whole live show whenever you want, because this stuff doesn't go into any of the clips.
You are the media revolution. You are much needed.
TYT. The place is like 95% TYT on.
You guys, the Young Turks, which is my favorite channel, we're getting that message out.
Cenk and the Young Turks do an extraordinarily good job.
No matter what mainstream media says, you have to listen to the Young Turks.
people who support us on the internet. That's what gives us strength. That's what allows anyone who was in there who was undecided to think one side seems to be winning. They seem to have a bigger army. There might be a reason for that. So thank you, guys.
What's happening? I'm Dr. Rashad Richey, host of Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey. Here's the bottom line. I play no games about policy, period. Too many people's lives are at stake. So here's what I do. I challenge conservative ideology that hinders the growth of this country. I make sure we place our facts in proper context, and I have no problem debating anyone on a position that I have. Progressives have the ideas to change the world, but when you really look at it, progressives have always changed this world for the better. I want you to tune into my new show, Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey, right here on the TYT Network, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time. I'll see you there.
Everything that we've accomplished over the years is because of our members who've allowed us to remain independent of corporate interests and reach 20 million followers. Now is the time to bring as many people into the progressive movement as possible. We're inviting you to be the change and help bring a community-powered progressive change machine to life. Details are at tyt.com/change. If you're a member, thank you. We need you to remain so. If you're one of the thousands of viewers out there who's not a member yet, the time has come for you to join now. We need you more than ever. tyt.com/change.
Welcome back to Indisputable. Let me read some of the comments. We're getting closer to our bullpen section. All right, Indisputable TYT, make sure you always watch the show on Indisputable TYT on YouTube, Indisputable TYT. Subscribe now, and also follow us on Twitter and Instagram, Indisputable TYT. Thank you, Arnes Velika. I think I said that right. Scott Fleming, thank you, super chat. Scott Fleming says, how is it not a payout to foreign investor slumlords? The tenant's rent should be forgiven, but to hell with giving my tax dollars to foreign investors, ruining the housing market. Well, there's definitely some of that involved, obviously, because foreign investment does buy property. However, the vast majority will be local people, typically in that state, and many of them obviously Americans. Freedom fighter, that was brave of him, and I think his teammates won't care, but he's gonna get hate from some fans. That is an unfortunate reality, but he seems to be a strong young brother. Burnings effing Mittens says, this is about Karen. Thank God for smartphones, yes. In Bali, Mount Shali, maybe. LMFAO, this is a Jordan Peele movie, right? Twitch, Francois says, war is like dessert, there's always room. Thank you, Central Committee has resubscribed, tier 1 for 11 months, thank you. Central Committee hosted the channel, had 1,157 viewers, rated 704 viewers, boom. Thank you. Carp ODB gifted a sub and cheer 410 bits. Yes, thank you. Top Cat Gloss Dragon gifted subs and 100 bits. That's freaking awesome. Lincoln Isaac 1 has resubscribed, Prime for 2 months. 2-month streak. Says, love this new show. Special shout out to Dr. Richey and Adrienne. Thank you. Here comes the Tony. Says, the only way to make this story better would be to have every single one of his teammates donate as well. That would be a hell of a gesture, especially this month. Good idea. Tara Lee says, you don't just become racist while drunk. Exactly, my point exactly. Snake Anthony 210, hard times came from hard workers through absolutely no fault of their own. Very well put. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring your attention to a victory for Donald Trump. I mean, he's been taking a lot of L's, okay? So one victory in a sea of losses. Remember this. Remember when he decided to act like he was Christian again? Okay. A judge tossed most claims against Trump, and then AG Bill Barr and other US officials saying that they cannot be sued for clearing the Lafayette Park on June 1st, 2020. Police spray gassed the peaceful group of protesters, and then moments later, Donald Trump walks to a church to do a photo op with the Bible. Here's an NBC report on what happened that day.
This is an extraordinary escalation on the streets in front of the White House right now. Within the last 15 minutes, mounted police have been coming down the street. You're going to see them in the frame now, using flashbangs in front of them and mounted police to clear what has been an entirely peaceful protest. Not 98%, not 99%, but 100% peaceful protest here today.
And then within seconds, it went from peaceful to pandemonium. People were throwing things, fireworks were going off, police officers were firing flashbangs into the crowd, and we started to move backwards, trying to cover it as we were backing up.
Ma'am, are you all right?
No, she's not all right, man.
I got hit. The most surreal part of it was in my other ear, I could hear in my earpiece the president giving a speech in the Rose Garden. And the president was talking about being a law and order president and restoring order. And the messaging of what he was saying was just totally incongruous with what I was feeling and seeing in front of me as people were running away, afraid from police who were clearing this space. What had been a peaceful day totally changed by the police for what we would learn later was a photo op in front of the church there at Lafayette Square.
This man wanted to do a photo op. He wanted to continue to try to trick Christian folks in the United States who believe in his rhetoric. And they decided to make a peaceful protest not peaceful by attacking them and engaging in unlawful activity. That is what happened. Now, the Attorney General of the time, Bill Barr, denied that chemical irritants were used. That was a lie. He also said that he did not know Trump was going to the photo op. That was a lie too. But here's what the AG at that time said.
And the methods they used, you think were appropriate? Is that
when
what
they
you're
met
saying?
resistance, yes. They announced 3 times, they didn't move. By the way, there was no tear gas used. The tear gas was used Sunday when they had to clear 8th Street to allow the fire department to come in to save St. John's Church. That's when tear gas was used.
There were chemical irritants, the part.
No, there were not chemical irritants. Pepper spray is not a chemical irritant. It's not chemical.
Pepper spray, you're saying is what was used.
Pepper balls.
This is what I'm asking you. Did you know when you gave the green light for these actions to be taken, that the president was going to be going to that very same area for a photo op?
I gave the green light at 2 o'clock. Obviously, I didn't know that the president was going to be speaking later that day.
I mean, he's a damn lie. He knew everything. I guarantee you that, okay? But a judge has decided to rule in the favor of Donald Trump and that guy. US Judge Dabney L. Frederick of Washington called allegations that federal officials conspired to make way for the photo too speculative. Here's what else the judge said. Frederick also ruled that federal defendants such as the then Attorney General William P. Barr and then acting Park Police Chief Gregory T. Mohannan are immune from civil suits and could not be sued for damages, and that Black Lives Matter as a group could not show it was directly injured by actions against individual demonstrators. The judge did allow litigation to go forward challenging federal restrictions on protest and other First Amendment activity at Lafayette Square across from the White House and against local DC and Arlington County police agencies that supported, the operation. Qualified immunity strikes again. Ladies and gentlemen, on the other side, we have our bullpen segment. You don't want to miss it. Stick and stay is indisputable.
You know what the progressive movement needs? It needs a little energy, a little pizzazz, maybe a little caffeine. Oh, coffee. But what if it was too strong coffee? Yes, new twostrongcoffee.com/TYT. Look, this helps progressive causes. It's also organic and fair trade, so you've got peace of mind that it was done right, and it happens to taste great. So check it out right now at twostrongcoffee.com/TYT.
That 300 million is a pretty good number, Well, that's the size of the US population. You know what our next target is? The size of the entire world.
We just crossed 5 billion views on YouTube.
I mean, imagine 10 years ago thinking one day.
We looked at you like, are you nuts? Young Turks has just passed another milestone. 15 billion views. Damn. All right, lots of comments. You guys are the best.
I'm gonna read a few comments from our members.
Mr. Methuselah says on YouTube, super chat, thanks for all the important work you do for TYT for the movement.
Do you know who had the first super chat when I got back from vacation? You won't be surprised to find out. Rob Shively. What do you know? Rob says, rejoice, for Dragon Daddy has returned.
This question sent to us by Izzy Sanchez Jr. Is it me, or is Meghan McCain talking as fast as Ben Shapiro? Is that the way the right tries to look smart and intellectual? Well, yes.
Michael Nathan writes it on Twitter. Did Anna choose Cenk's outfit today? I'm sure it wasn't Cenk himself. Man Bun Jenkins Skinny Jeans says, so now Anna has pointed out, okay, that's his handle.
T. Joyce, 1971, saying Donald Trump is good at pulling out of things, NAFTA, the Iran deal, NATO. It's just too bad Fred Trump didn't.
All right, let me do a little quick plug here. It's not even a plug, I'm bragging, okay? I'm bragging, watch me. We have a channel on YouTube, a whole channel devoted just to the Young Turks. It's badass, right? Wow, man. I can see the voice.
You guys are rock stars.
Unbelievable, Senator Sanders. Welcome to Rebel Headquarters. Man, you guys are amazing. We gave you what you wanted. Okay. Speaking of shirts.
I have a surprise.
You reached a lot of people. You are the Young Turks. And we have spread that progressive message wide and far. Let's keep it going.
Are you our next stream star?
Oh my God, that's me?
Show us what you got with your Twitch pitch. All you need to do is put together a 2-minute audition video on why you should have your own stream on TYT, and then put it on Twitter and use the hashtag TwitchPitch. Plus, tag us at The Young Turks. And if you needed even more information than that, TYT.com/TwitchPitch has all the info you need. I can't wait to see your videos. Cool news, shoptyt.com now has books. There's a whole bunch of books there. You're gonna be shocked to find out that they're largely progressive. Of course! Ryan Grimm's book, We've Got People, is there. It's a fantastic story from Jesse Jackson to Bernie Sanders to AOC that explains the progressive movement probably better than any book I've ever read. Speaking of awesome books, my dad's got a book out called The Original Young Turk, where he goes from the poorest olive farmer you ever met in your life to living the American dream.
Welcome back to Indisputable. I'm going to read some of these comments. I'm glad you all engage. Make sure you follow us on social media, Indisputable TYT, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Indisputable TYT. Real simple, real easy, it's free and it's fast, okay? All right, let's go to the chat. I got Kedge Dragon, Barr is a big flat liar. Alex O'Neill says, what happened at Lafayette Square was the kind of thing we shame other countries for. And it looks like there will never be consequences. We failed so far in just 4 years. Yeah. Tahira Kathleen says, liar, liar. Mama Misa says, look, a talking toad. Whoa. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. In the Bullpen today, I have conservative radio talk personality, TV host, extreme conservative, and he's proud of it. Pastor Jesse Lee Peterson, founder and president of Bond, B-O-N-D, and host of JLP Show and The Fallen State. Pastor Peterson, good day, welcome to Indisputable.
Thank you for having me on, I appreciate it.
Sir, you all have a celebration coming up next month. Are you not the founder of White History Month, I think, which starts in July?
Yeah, we're gonna be celebrating our 4th year of White History Month in July. And the reason that we started it in July is because if you notice, July just feels white.
Yeah.
You know, it's summertime, vacation time, relaxing time, reflecting time, and appreciating the greatest country on this side of heaven.
Gotcha.
And so we are recognizing that and showing our appreciation for it.
I think it's important for people to know you're not a comedian. What you're saying, right? What you're saying, this is actually you. You do this. You did found. You're the founder of White History Month.
Yes.
You've also been very critical of Juneteenth. You have called it a fake holiday, but you are. You want to make sure that everyone supports White History Month.
Absolutely.
I do want to have a policy discussion with you about the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act. I'm going to attempt to have that policy discussion with you. Do you agree or disagree with the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act?
I totally disagree because, as we all know, George Floyd was a black, unemployed drug addict with a criminal record. And I just
okay. Let's first of all, let's clear something up, sir. You really should be ashamed of yourself. You call yourself a Christian pastor. George Floyd is dead.
It's his fault.
He's dead because a cop killed him.
No, now, he's dead because he was a drug addict.
My question to you, and that's adverse to the evidence, by the way, what you just said. My question to you was about policy. So let me ask you, what in the policy of the George Floyd Policing Act do you disagree with?
The whole idea,
Which part of the policy, Jesse?
Blaming the cops and no responsibility
Jesse,
for the blacks.
I'm asking you, what part of the policy is written? You can find it at congress.gov. What part of the policy, sir, do you disagree with? This is a simple question.
I disagree with the whole idea of a policy.
You haven't read the policy. You haven't even read the damn policy. Come on, Jesse.
I don't need to read it. I don't need to read it to know the truth, because what I've noticed is that black people today, due to their lack of love, their lack of believing in God, they love evil more than they love good, right?
So that's the reason why you don't read.
And so
that's the reason why you don't read.
Right, because we're written by no good black people. And why should I waste my time knowing what they're about? Black folks today, and not all, but most, have no sense of direction. They're blaming everybody but themselves. And until they take responsibility for their own lives, they are not going to get better. The real truth is,
let me ask
George Floyd is dead because of George Floyd and no one else.
That's a ridiculous point. But do you blame yourself for not reading the policy, or you blame somebody else?
Why should I read the policy when I already know the people? You
don't even know what's in the policy, do you?
I don't need to know, don't want to know. I know the people who are writing it, they're no good.
Okay, let's talk about Black Lives Matter. This is probably going to end up being an utter waste of my time having you on the show. What are your thoughts about
you
Black
don't know
Lives
that
Matter?
You may learn something.
Well, we'll see, preacher. What is it about Black Lives Matter that you disagree with fundamentally?
Black Lives Matter was founded by a bunch of fat black radical lesbians.
Okay.
And who
All
hate
right, have
God.
A good, get this clown off my show. I appreciate you.
Who hate God, who hate the nuclear family.
Yeah. Listen, for those of you who wanted me to continue to engage that clown on this show, I'm sorry, I just couldn't do it. I'm only a human being. So please forgive me, okay? All right. here's what we'll do for the rest of the show. I will read some comments, and I know some of you will say, "Oh, Rashad, that was just so rude," and yeah, it was. I couldn't take any more of that foolishness. He's not going to make a debate in good faith, even if you oppose whatever I believe on the most extreme policy side. At least you have a policy argument. I can engage in a good faith debate about ideas. But if you want to utilize this platform to bash gay people, to bash black people, to bash communities that are disenfranchised, if that's all you want to do, then no, you won't do that here. And I'm sure all of his cronies, once he puts this on his social media feed, they will try to come after me. I want all the smoke. I'm good with every bit of it, all right? Okay, let's read some of the comments. We got some of the comments, let's do it that way. D. Packman debated him a few times. He has no facts to back him up, says crazy stuff. If I was a Republican, I would be embarrassed. Yeah, but they don't call him out. He's kind of like Candace Owens, just his version of it. But he's even more extreme when you really think about it. He's the OG of that, whatever it is. He's much more extreme than anyone else. Okay, this guy has a point. The guy with the glasses, not the flaming racist bigot. All right, that was from Franco. Lauren McRae says, this embodies why we must continue to push for easier access to mental health services. Listen, I damn near fell out my chair on that one. That was funny. Lauren McRae, thank you for that. KR Williams 3876 says, thank you, Dr. Richey. Poliart says, thank you very much. I never understand why people entertain this idiot. I was shocked to see him on here. I tried. When I tell you, I did have a conversation with my producers before the show, and I promised, I said, listen, I am really going to try to have an actual policy conversation with this guy. And I did. I mean, I engaged in a good faith attempt. I hope you all saw that. We got a lot more. Gabby Mathis says, thank you for cutting this guy out. You're very welcome. Felicia Ritter says, much aloha and respect, Dr. Richey. Thank you. Stan Swish says, hold on to your butts. Beauty Divine says, I can't believe it's Jesse Peterson. Please believe it. And he was exactly who he has always been, unable to engage in an actual conversation. Mad Maple Syrup, Dr. Richey doing the right thing, of course, showing JLP for the clown he is. Bub Dragon, no, there should be no place for that kind of nonsense anywhere. You did the right thing cutting him. Well, I do appreciate that. All right. Before we end the show, I want to remind everyone that everything we do on Indisputable is aimed at one agenda, and that is to highlight truth. Now, sometimes that truth is difficult to accept. Now, we're not partisan, and we really don't care what political party or affiliation you subscribe to. What we care about is the fact that you care about the ultimate truth. Now, sometimes that truth can be adversarial to some people's lie. I've seen people who rather hold on to an old lie than accept a new truth, even though it is clearly in front of them. People like Jesse Peterson, they will continue to attack everything that's contrary to their white-dominated social order. I mean, just think about the foolishness of this. Jesse Peterson is the founder of White History Month. Need I say more? All right, let me go to some more of these comments. Okay, since I don't have a debate guest, let me just read the comments. Let's do that. Super chat. The Novel Shark says, let me compose myself. This is funny. Super chat for cutting off IRL Uncle Ruckus. Thumbs up. Chris Nesbitt, super chat for punting that guy to the curb. Yeah. Yeah, and David Pakman, who, and I've seen his interviews. David, God bless him. That man has the patience of Job. I don't have that. That's just not the way I'm built, okay? But God bless David for being able to deal with that. And I've seen David interview people all over the spectrum. I don't have that gift. More power to him. Tara Lee says he didn't even have the policy, just like you said. I can't stand people who talk ish about things they don't even inform themselves on. Yeah. 00083 gifted 2 tier 1 subs. Thank you. Lavana cheer 5 bits. Yeah. I didn't know about this. Maybe it's true. This is the same guy who got caught liking gay porn on his Twitter, yet tries to pretend to hate the community. You should have told me about that part. I would have used that in the beginning of the debate. That would have been my lead-in question. All right, we got to get on our research over here. Court for Jester says July just feels white. What the LOL? Spoonie 6157 Chittown says, Dr. Rashad, your time is too valuable to be spent on an idiot like Jesse Peterson. Yeah, but see, I think I get points. I get an E for effort. See how that works? I actually attempted, okay? So I get some points here just for the attempt, even if it didn't work out the way I would have hoped. I really did want to engage in a very sensible, even though I know his policies are extreme, policy discussion. That's what the bullpen is for. But definitely not to have someone utilize the platform to bash individuals that I love. That's simply not going to happen on this show. All right, he can go to another show for that. All right. Nicole Smith. Well, let me go back up. Because a lot of people are coming in hot and heavy. Nicole Smith, thank you. It's exceedingly difficult to have an honest debate with fanatics, but I appreciate you trying every day. You're very welcome, and thank you for that. Forbes-Zilla says, will we ever see Doc Richey versus Doc Umar? You may. I've run into Umar on occasion. Not that Karen Dragon. Thanks for getting him off my computer. And Andrew Augustus says, much props for sending that guy packing. Let's go to my Twitch comments. Okay, we've read them. Yeah, I thank you all for the support and for the comments. I definitely took a risk with that one, but it is what it is. I gave him an opportunity, and it's amazing that he has so many followers. That baffles me. But let me tell you what this is really about. People don't really celebrate Jesse Peterson. He's a pastor of nothing, okay? He doesn't have a thriving congregation. He gets his money by bashing black people, similar to Candace Owens. So white bigots who are unable to say what he says about black people will continue to pay Jesse Peterson to say things against black and brown people, against members of the LGBTQ community. And he literally takes a position antithetical to these communities because he gets paid to do so. Once again, the definition of sellout. But don't you find it amazing that there are so many bigoted individuals in this country that they will literally make a man, make a person rich, or try to, just so that that person can keep talking trash about other communities. And that's all that brother is. That's it. I did think he could engage in a conversation. I didn't know he was that far gone. But obviously he cannot. Moo Fins says, I felt bad for the pastor. He's been gaslit to be a racist against himself. he wasn't mentally equipped to critically think himself out of the propaganda he's been fed. Yeah. Genocide 2002 says, I bet that guy has a list of words he was supposed to try to get out on the show, and he just started reading them right from the list. He's practiced all of those words, I'm sure. He says that kind of stuff on a regular basis. Jam Tomb 63958 says, Dr. Richey is our king of truth. I wear that badge with honor. I appreciate that. Thank you. So what do we do? What's the remedy here? The remedy is not fixing everybody. And we all have to get out of the mindset of pressuring people to change their mind. And we have to adopt the mindset of replacement. Like literally, we have to start replacing people that are in charge of policy, replacing individuals that we listen to in the narrative of our social reality in this country. Because it's obvious now, more than ever, that we have reached a level of critical mass. We are in the middle of a tribal era in politics to where no one seems to care about the dogmatic truth anymore. There are people who will see a Jesse Peterson and they will see that I shut him down and they will blame me for that, which I'm fine with. But I want you to consider something. If we allow people like that to spew propaganda against communities that we actually do support, that we do care about, then that person is empowered to not have policy conversations. That person is empowered to simply spew rhetoric. Well, he can do that all day on Fox News. He can't do that here. We got some more comments. All right, let's, another super chat. Thaddeus Nall says, Jesse Peterson is the real life Clayton Bigsby, Dave Chappelle's blind Klan leader. He's a grifter who is too dumb to know that he's a grifter. Man of Tomorrow, and just so you know, Man of Tomorrow, I did read your comment from yesterday because you dropped that C note on there. I said, I gotta read this brother's comment, all right? It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on not understanding it. Upon Upton Sinclair quote. That's a beautiful quote, by the way. JLP is purposeful in what he is doing, very purposeful. Yeah. PhD Eva 5 says Adrienne needs to serve as mediator. I just have an idea that she would be in total agreement with me. I don't know if she would be a great mediator for that guy. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of the planet. And remember, the truth is always indisputable.